Good evening. It's once again Friday at 5:30 p.m. and of course this is your host for the next 25 minutes of Hotline 21, Congressman Danny Davis, and I am delighted to be here. As a matter of fact, I am more than delighted to simply be inside. I remember the song that Louis Jordan used to sing about baby, it's cold outside. He says, I gotta go to work. But baby, it's cold outside. My mama will be worried, but baby, it's cold out there. Well, let me tell you, if someone was saying that today, they would be telling the truth. But you know the one thing about cold, we have survived these temperatures for a long time. There are those who believe in global warming and believe that global warming is taking shape, and I think so too. And so we just got a little frigid spell, you know. There was a whole period once called the Ice Age. But we won't get off into the weather, but you know, there are just a lot of good things going on that I am here to announce and talk about. You know, when it's cold, you try and do whatever it is that you can about it. And so we just had on day before yesterday, it wasn't yesterday, a great press conference with a number of people, including the main utility companies, Commonwealth Edison, People's Gas, Northern Illinois Gas, Cedar, South Austin Coalition, and some individuals, because every year around this time, for more than the last 20 years, I have sponsored something called an Energy Assistance Fair. And that's where people whose lights and gas is off and they don't have any heat can come and get assistance to get it turned back on. This year, we are going to be at the Mark T. Skinner Classical School at 1260 West Adams on Saturday, January the 13th. Saturday, January the 13th. We will be there. And if your light or gas is off and you want to get some help, come. Bring proof of 30-day gross income from all household members, that is, people who live in the house. A copy of your most recent heat and electric bill if you pay for your home energy directly. Proof of the Social Security numbers of everybody that live in the household. Social Security numbers. If you receive TANF, you must bring your medical eligibility card. Applicants who have their utilities included in the rent must bring proof of rental agreement, and you'll probably be able to get some help. Proof of property ownership, if you want to get some help with your furnace. Let's say your furnace is not working. It's gone out. You can't get it on. Bring proof of property ownership, your current tax bill showing property address and owner's full first and last name, a mortgage billing statement or payment book, a quitclaim deed with recorded stamp by the county court recorder, or a vehicle title for mobile homeowners, and building owner certification and work authorization form. If you can bring that information on Saturday, March the 13th, to the Mark Skinner Classical School, 1260 West Adams, you can get some help. And so we want to thank all of those who are participating. Again, Commonwealth Edison, People's Gas, Northern Illinois Gas, the Cedar Program, Cook County Economic Development Association, and of course the South Austin Coalition. And you know, the interesting thing is, since we had the press conference, we've had some angels to step in and provide some money to help people who need it to get their gas and lights on so that they don't have to be cold during this winter snap. So I want to thank all of those who have stepped up, those who have given money, who are willing to give money to help other people stay warm. One song that I really like is that if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can steer somebody right who might be traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. So follow up and follow through. I'm a little bit emotional in a sense because I see that the Austin Bank of Chicago is being sold. Not that I think it's a bad thing, but it's a bank that I helped bring to the Austin community and actually sat on the board of for 10 years or so until I got elected to Congress. Well, they have sold the bank to Second Bank Corp, which is the holding company of Aurora-based Old Second National Bank. Is purchasing the Austin Bank of Chicago, its 4 branches and parent company, for about $41.1 million. This bank has resided in the Austin community since 1891. It was founded as the Austin State Bank and became Austin Bank of Chicago. And at the time it became the Austin Bank of Chicago, I was a member of the Chicago City Council. I was the alderman for that area, and we were very engaged in helping that transition to take place. And I'm pleased to know that it has been there serving that community all of that time. It is still healthy and well, and it's just being sold. And it's going to change some, but it will be all right and will be just fine. I'm looking at the Crusader newspaper, which is just sort of talking a little bit about transition. And it's really showing some of the many people that we lost during the year 2017. And so to all of those families who lost family members, Burnell Smith, who was the publisher of the Memphis Tri-State Defender, of course, Cook County Commissioner Robert Steele, Bob Steele, Dick Gregory, comedian and activist, Chuck Berry, the musician, Fats Domino, I found my thrill up on Blueberry Hill. Carolyn Rush, the wife of my colleague and good friend, Congressman Bobby Rush. Simone Wright, the cousin of Emmett Till, who witnessed his killing his abduction. And of course, Simone Booker, who chronicled the Emmett Till story. Della Reese, uh, Robert Yancey, who was Natalie Cole's son, and Bob Sinstack, who was the publisher of the Chicago Daily Defender newspaper. As the new year comes in, I was pleased to read an article that was written by Harry Alford, who is the co-founder of the National Black Chamber of Commerce. And he indicated that their business organization is going to get very involved in reentry during 2018. The title of his article is 2018 will be devoted to reentry. People who know me and know me well know that reentry is a big piece of what I do as an elected person, as a public person, and as a citizen who believes that unless we can do a better job of reducing recidivism, that it's just going to be virtually impossible, especially for the African American community, who kind of lead the way in terms of incarceration, in terms of an awful lot of things that affect African Americans. It seems as though Chris Kennedy created quite a stir this week when he mentioned and talked about the fact that large numbers of African Americans have left and are continuing to leave Chicago. And he mentioned different policies and conditions and all that he thinks has led to this. But he also kind of mentioned that maybe City Hall had put together some plans and ideas and some implementations that was helping the process along. It's hard to argue that the housing transformation plan did not cause a lot of African Americans. That is, when the big high-rise developments were torn down and were replaced with multi-faceted housing, none of the replacements have replaced on a one-for-one basis. That is, if you tore down 1,000 units and you only built back 300 or 400 or 500 units, you have to ask what happened to the other 500 families or other 500 people who were moved out of Henry Horner, out of Stateway Gardens, out of Robert Taylor, out of Lawndale Manor, out of Rockwell, out of Ida B. Wells, out of all of those places. Well, they certainly are not in Chicago. They are someplace else. And the only way we're going to see them back in Chicago will be to make sure that we build enough low and moderate income housing to accommodate the housing needs of these individuals. That is not what we have been doing. That is not what we are doing. Much of the housing, new housing that's being developed in Chicago, quite frankly, is upscale condominium type housing on the near north side of the loop, the near west end of the loop, and the near south end of the loop. And the people who will live there are not going to be the same people who lived in Cabrini Green. They're not going to be the same people who lived in Stateway, Rockwell, Robert Taylor, or any of those other developments, except for a pitiful few. So yes, the black population has left and is continuing to leave Chicago. Of course, there are other reasons as well. Many African Americans who grew up in the rural South left in droves because of the racial climate, because of the movement, and now that they have retired and have their pensions, they are going back home to Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Texas, where they can sing Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings you're gonna rise up singing. You'll spread your wings and the cotton will be high. Caller, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, James. How are you?
Okay, Donald Trump trying to blame everybody about what's going on wrong. Like that book, he blamed he blamed Hillary about that book that guy go publish it, and he blaming Hillary about Donald Trump trying to blame Hillary about the war in China, about him and that Chinese guy, that Chinese leader.
Well, you know, the president is accustomed to talking about things in a way as he sees them. And I just don't know how much time I'm going to spend this year focusing on Mr. Trump. I'll spend some time, but I'm going to be trying to see if I can figure out ways that, in spite of Mr. Trump, can I help find ways to feed the hungry, to clothe those who are naked, to bring hope to the hopeless, and help to the helpless? Can I figure out ways to help empower people?
Okay, Connie David.
Mm-hmm.
When Donald Trump talked about he was gonna make America great, he should have helped the homeless, like you said, and helped the homeless get off the street in Chicago instead of having another war. He don't want to talk about he gonna make America great. He should help the homeless. A lot of them homeless people, like you said, and a lot of people getting off the street. He should help them. Instead of having another war. You right, Donald Trump. And God gonna change Donald Trump. God looking at Donald Trump.
Well, I'm sure that God is all-encompassing, all-powerful, omnipotent, omnipresent, and you can run, but you can't hide. You can slip, but you can't slide.
And then if they can go into another country and help them, why can't they help the home like you said, like you just said? God looking at everything. God looking on everything.
Well, I think God is certainly sitting on the throne and knows what's going on, and he is going to help us bring justice.
And you're right about the homeless. They should help the homeless. But I don't see some of the people. They always talk about they go to another country and help the other people in the other country. Why can't they help the homeless? And I can't see that. I can't see that. Donald Trump them talking about they were gonna make America great. He should start with that first, like you said, Connie David.
All right.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Okay, Connie. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you so much, James. We thank James, as always, for having profound thought and ideas. And Yes, caller, we'll go right to you because our time is running down.
And never running down for you, Mr. Davis. This is Paula. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
That man on that telephone need to be blessed. He's always blessing people.
He does indeed. No
He
doubt
certainly-
about
he
it.
certainly- Let me ask you something. In each one of our little cities here, at the 41st Ward, the 29th Ward where you used to work, do they have a budget for people, for a certain amount of people that ain't got enough money? With this heat situation, they ought to pass a law between December all the way till March, no matter how big your bill is, you get it passed until then. They got to give these people that can't afford it, okay, you're behind $1,000. What the heck difference is another $200-300? Let them stay warm. Let them make some kind of little payment plan. It ain't easy when you get stacked up behind and stuck with all them bills. But when it comes to children, older people, they got to put a gas thing, a pan of water on the stove. And if that stove blows up, it's going to cost the city more money because that poor man lost their loft, lost the house. Now what? We got to get some more laws. Danny Davis, you got to get in that White House and fight for us.
All right. Well,
You
we
got to
actually
fight
have
for us.
some help for people that you described. There's something called the low income
Yeah.
energy assistance program.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
got to
let me-
make sure that we keep money
Okay.
in there.
Okay, let me get off of Chicago a minute. Let's get to Baltimore today. Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw on TV today in Baltimore. I seen 30 little kids sitting in a classroom with their jackets on because it was so freezing in the school. It was 40 degrees in there. Now, each town has their own aldermen. Each town has a budget for them schools or the hospitals or whatever. To see them children sit in that classroom with them jackets on, the aldermen ain't doing what they supposed to do. You about the only honest one we ever had. In the 29th yard in Austin, when you was in the district in the 29 for Austin, those streets were still safe to walk.
Well, thank you so much, and I
What I'm
appreciate
saying?
your call.
And
All
the
right.
12
And we better take this other call right quick. Caller, are you there?
Yes, good evening and Happy New Year. But these people have to realize they need to get this paper that you got there that's talking about the west side is the best side. You all have set good examples for all us African-American Negro people in the city of Chicago. And we need to stop crying and get up and do something ourselves. We got a population of young, dynamic young men and women that's coming up. Are we reaching out to these young people, talking to them? No.
All right, we got to do a better job of that. And our time is about to run out, so let me thank all of our callers so much, and we thank all of you for watching and listening. And let's keep hope alive. Let's work, let's pray, and let's help each other. Time is gone. So long. See you next week.